Hey everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. It is Sunday morning. It is early. It's only just gone 7:20, and the kids aren't up yet. The young ones are stirring, but the older ones I always have to drag out of bed. So the kids aren't up yet. So what I thought I would do is come out and make a coffee. Darryl is not here at the moment. He's away this weekend, and because of that, the kids will not be going to church because he takes them to church. So I've got a few jobs that I've already discussed with them yesterday that they need to get done this morning, otherwise they don't get computer time this afternoon. I also, because it's Sunday, have to sort out schooling for the week, so I need to get that figured out as well. But I just thought that I would turn the camera on, even though I haven't done a proper clean out here yet, because we have an abundance of eggs at the moment, so I'm probably going to make them a Dutch baby for breakfast. It's probably a little early. It does take 45 minutes to cook though. 20 to 45 minutes to cook depending on what temperature the oven gets to. Ambient temperature really affects my oven because it's that commercial finishing oven thing. So when it's cold, sometimes the oven doesn't get like quite as hot as it could, and Dutch Baby's like a really hot oven, but it's not cold. So we might not need quite as long to get it to do its thing, but I'm going to make coffee. I've got the kettle on as well to make coffee. But I thought Dutch Baby would be a good way to use up some eggs because we have an abundance at the moment. We just haven't used it as many. The kids they're really into ramen style noodles at the moment. The one that I make that has the ramen powder and a poached egg and stuff, that's what they have for breakfast most days because breakfast is just whatever you want. They haven't been having cereal much at all, which is kind of, I'm not going to need much rice milk this shopping trip. But anyway, I really need to make some granola up because they do all love granola, but I do have to make yogurt regularly when I make granola too. So that might be on the cards this week. Maybe I'll make some granola this week. It's a good snack too, especially if I make it all clumpy. So maybe that'll be this week's video. We'll see. But I thought I would make Dutch Baby and show you. Now, Dutch Baby is on my website, the recipe that we use for it, and we make a full 9x13 equivalent, which has 18 eggs in it. We actually used to make 2 of them when Surreal was still staying at home, and Darryl and I were eating it as well. Darryl obviously isn't here at the moment, but he isn't eating that kind of thing. I will have some, but 1 is plenty now. Same as the pancake bake, 1 is plenty of that. So might get that sorted and then we will continue with our day. I've already fed all the cats and they put fresh water and feed in with the chicks, who I was going to move out to the tractor today, but it's looking very overcast, so it will depend on the weather. I won't put them out there if there's a risk of rain, but their brooder needs cleaning out, so I was going to throw them all out into the tractor, get the brooder cleaned up and maybe bring them back in for the night. They're only 2.5 weeks old, but we've already taken the heat plates in the brooder so that they can all cluster under it to stay warm in that way, but we don't actually turn it on anymore because the nights are just too warm in the small space that they're in, and there's 19 of them. So they've already starting to feather in and things like that, and our chicks do that because our weather is the way it is, and because we provide enough heat to keep them alive, but we don't necessarily continue that heat, so they tend to feather in fairly early and get used to the climate, and I think it benefits us. The chickens that we have that from our birds, like the ones that we hatch from our birds, tend to lay all through winter. They tend to molt very, very minimally. We do bump the protein right around molting season, but we actually don't get any that look really bad in molting season at all, and they lay all year round, and I think a lot of that is the acclimation to our climate, the way that we hatch and raise them, but also the genetics through the different chickens. So the chickens that we hatch of our own are very hardy, and are very good at tolerating those swings in temperatures from the -5s all the way through to the 40s throughout the year, and still lay. I think it's been really important to continue the genetics of our own flock to do that, as well as getting all the different egg colours. So my kettle is boiling. So every year I buy in a dozen or 2 of fertile eggs from a breeder to mix up the genetics a little bit as well, or because we want a specific breed or a specific coloured egg or whatever. So this year we're getting some bantams in because Sonnet would really like some small chickens. So that's what we're hatching at the moment. But I will also probably buy, we're low on blue and green eggs at the moment, though the next lot that come through should hatch some, but I might buy a rainbow mixed as well for the next hatch just to add that in as well. But generally speaking, we breed our own because they're a nice hardy chicken. And the idea always was that we could then sell point of lay chickens out here, and because they're acclimated to our temperatures out here and they lay all year round and they don't molt particularly, so long as everyone feeds them well. We obviously we feed and look after our chickens to a pretty significant standard because that's what we are like with our animals, so long as that is maintained. So the idea was that I could eventually sell some point of lays out here, and the idea being that not to make money as such, but to pay for their feed, and then our eggs become free is like the idea, you know, like if I sold some every year, then it pays for their feed for half the year or whatever, you know. But I just haven't quite got there to get the numbers right because we're still like, we have an abundance of eggs, but not such an abundance that I'm overly comfortable selling off or giving away our chickens at the moment. But this next set of hatching has done really well. So the first round came out, we got 19 out of the 21 eggs. They were all hatched from our own chickens, and they're the ones that are almost 3 weeks old. So they're going to go out shortly because the next lot I will put on lockdown Monday or Tuesday. Tomorrow, Tuesday morning, I think is on my calendar. And then they'll be hatched within 3 days. So we'll need the brooder for those as well. We do have a second fold out brooder. It has no floor on it, so we were talking about setting it up somewhere, but it has to be protected because it's not like the tractor that's out in the... Oh, I got distracted, didn't I? Normally I would make my coffee and Darryl's at the same time, and I didn't because he's not here, and obviously was just thinking about quantity of water left in the kettle. So this is going to be a little bit weaker than normal, but that's fine. I will survive. So I have no idea where I was at. Chickens, anyway, I'll bring it up again if I think about it, but I'll show them to you later as well. So my coffee, I use this Choc Zero sugar-free flavouring. I'll put a link to it, an affiliate link in the description. I get it off iHerb. iHerb has a big sale at the moment too. I get it off iHerb and I buy all different flavours. Cupcake, this is the first time I've tried the cupcake flavour, and it's very similar to like a birthday cake, it's got almost that malty vanilla-y flavour. It's not bad. And I just use it in my coffee. I don't use very much. I use a pump and a little bit. It's not very sweet, but it definitely adds just a mellowing to the coffee. We used to drink our coffee with no sugar at all for a long time, but I just, especially when we're doing keto carnivore, I just really needed that little treat of some sort in my coffee. So this is what I did. But we've also been having iced coffee, and iced coffee can be a little bit harsher. I prefer my iced coffee sweet, so having this works as well. So I'm still doing some replacements in things in certain areas, sugar-free things like this, and trying to reduce the carbs and sugars in certain aspects where it's easy to do so, but I'm not being particularly pedantic about it because it was all a little bit too much. So I've got my coffee made. I'm going to finish wiping this bench down. I've dried it, but I need to spray it, and then I'll come back and I'll make those Dutch babies. All right, so we need to start off with 18 eggs. Now, I've got a whole bunch of turkey eggs at the moment. These are so pretty. And they're pretty, but they're about 1.5 the size of a normal egg. So I'm counting 2 of these as 3 eggs, and then I've got some chicken eggs in here as well. We've got as I was talking about, all the different colours, some really nice speckled ones. I don't have any blue ones here because I put them aside in case I want to run them another hatch. But we've got some lovely toned eggs and everything. So whilst they all taste the same, it's just really neat to have a basket full of all the different colours. But we do have a bunch of turkey eggs at the moment. Now the lady turkeys are separate from the male turkey, and we have those 23 babies we don't need anymore, so we're not letting them hatch. So we've just been collecting the eggs every day. So I'm going to use these. We've been using these for cooking, and they seem to have worked quite well. Now, obviously, these eggs are from our chickens, and they are collected every day theoretically. Theoretically, they're collected every day, but you cannot always guarantee it. So the problem becomes that you have to crack into a bowl. You don't ever crack your eggs directly into your baking, because they you can't risk it. You just don't know. So turkey shells are really tough compared to chicken shells. So we always crack them into a bowl before putting them into the bowl where you've actually got the food. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack all 18 of these into a bowl and then into the Thermomix so that we can add all the rest. All right, one of the ways we get a really nice big puff on the Dutch baby is by preheating the pan. So I've got a big chunk of ghee in the cast iron pan. I'm going to throw this in the oven while I mix up the rest of the batter. And we've got that on high temperatures. All right, now to the 18 eggs. Super simple. Going to do a pinch of salt. Pinch of salt in there. We're going to get some coconut cream. Now we want about 600 grams of milk for this. So what I do is I put a whole tin of coconut cream in. We're using the Coles brand at the moment. And then I top it up by about half for, I forgot to put the scales on, but close enough's good enough. 600 grams, so about a tin and a half. So of that. And then we need flour. And we're going to use 350 grams of just plain flour. You don't need any other rising agent because those 18 eggs is what creates the rise. And we just blend it. We want to incorporate lots of air, so we're going to do it on 5 or 6 for like 30 seconds. Then we're going to scrape the bowl down, make sure that we got all the solids out of it, and then once that pan heats up, so I'll give the pan another 5 minutes for that ghee to melt fully and for the pan to get nice and hot. Then I will pour this straight into the pan on the oven shelf. Straight into the butter so that the ghee sort of moves around and coats the whole pan so that that's what's going to grease the pan for the Dutch baby. They still stick a little bit, but they do create a bit of a crust because of the heat of that butter, so it's not too bad. So I'm just going to give that one last quick mix and then I will throw it in the oven and I'll bring you back once it's done. Alrighty, and this is what it looks like cooked. So Dutch baby all done for breakfast this morning. All right, so it is 2 o'clock. I've got about as much as I possibly can get out of the children in the way of cleaning and chores. It's not quite where I wanted it, but they did pretty good. So they're having some computer time. Everyone's had lunch and everything, and they're having some gaming time. And I need to finish this video off. But what I was going to do is we've run out of the basic muffin mix that I had made, and it means the kids have been baking some cakes lately, and some of them have done better than others because they pick recipes that are just a little bit complicated, and that's fine, but they're normally doing it without me. Like, they're normally doing it as something to do while I'm working something else and they want something as a treat. The basic muffin mix worked perfectly, like every time, no matter what. It was so easy to do. So I'm going to make up another batch of that because I just think that it's worth doing. I also have, so I buy Macro Mike protein powders. We've discussed this many a time that Macro Mike didn't want to sponsor me or affiliate or anything because I'm obviously not in their scope. But they have a big sale, generally speaking, at Black Friday sale. And quite often I spend a couple $100 because they have all these freebies. So like if you buy $100 worth, you get a free protein ball or whatever, and $175 you get a free protein powder, $300 you get a second larger protein powder free. Anyway, when it's on sale and if you spend the larger amount, when you break down the cost per serve of their protein powders, it works out quite good. I won't buy them full price, they're too expensive for us to use, but when they have good sales, regularly, and the Black Friday sale is always a really good one. So I quite often buy most of my year's supply of protein powder at a Black Friday sale, and sometimes a Boxing Day sale, maybe 2 purchases per year, because we don't use it as protein powder. Like, we don't drink it as protein drinks. We use it in our smoothie pops and in our smoothies and in our baking and things like that, but we don't consume it just as a shake. That is the other thing, actually. We are completely out of smoothie pops, so I should probably do some more of those. I only just put them in video the other day though, but that is because I'm a bit delayed, and so now we've run out of smoothie pops, which means they eat more of the Ninja Creamy, which means that doesn't last as long. Children, apparently you have to feed them. But anyway, they're all inside for the moment, so what I'm going to do is get this muffin mix done. The weather is really, really overcast, really humid and gross. I'm hoping we get some rain, because my raspberry canes and stuff really could do with some rain, but we shall see. We'll have to bring the chicks back in if it does rain. So, but let's get this mix. So this is a super, super simple mix. The protein powders are completely optional. As I said, I'm just using up the ends of a couple of bags that just have some left in them before I look at doing another order. So I bought some bagged flour the other week, because I made all those cakes for the friend's mother's birthday and ended up with extra. So I'm just going to use this because I don't want to store it here, but I don't want to put it in with my other flour. So I'm just using the bagged flour at the moment. So each batch makes 12 muffins, and each batch ends up being about 420 grams per. And if I remember correctly, I got 4 batches into one of my big Kmart jars. So I'm going to put a double batch in here, put it in the jar and see how we go. Now, with the protein powder, obviously it's going to make them a little heavier, but they're muffins, not, you know, cupcakes. So I don't have a problem with that. The quantity of protein powder is entirely up to you, and depends on which protein powders you're using. Now, this Macro Mike stuff is, each serve is about 40 grams. Oops. So each scoop is around about 40 grams. There was only 23 left in that one. And that one was just a cookie dough one. These are both peanut based, so they're both similar in flavour. Now, if we go for 160, that is 4 scoops in 2 batches of muffin mix. So we've got 160. We want 600 grams of flour all up. So we will just take this up to the 600 grams. I do have a video where I made this and a bunch of other stuff, so I will try and remember to link it, but we all know that it's not my forte. So 600 grams of that. Now, I am going to add baking powder and bicarb, because even though this is self-raising flour, I'm still going to do it because I don't want to fail, but I'm going to do half the amount. So I would normally put, with this batch, I would normally put 20 grams of baking powder and 20 grams of bicarb, but I'm just going to do 10 of each because there will be some leavening agent in there. And then we're just going to do 5 grams of salt. And we're going to add sugar. And we want, I'm going to use coconut sugar because I have it. And it complements the flavours in the muffins. And we're going to do 220, which brings us up to about the 840, 850 mark, which is 2 serves at 420 each. I'm going to give this a whisk, and then we're going to transfer it into our jar. Now, I suppose I could make this up as like single jar serves, like maybe the 420 would fit in a pint jar and I could just have pint jars made up of it. Maybe. I don't know. I kind of find it just easier to stick it in a big jar, and I've got big jars, so that's what I'm going to do. So as you can see, I should be able to fit another batch of that in there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the exact same thing, and I'm just going to fill the jar up. So it turned out I could fit 6 batches in that jar and used almost like the entire 2 kilo of flour. So I just thought I'd mix up a batch 2 now while I'm at it. So I'll cook some off
for them to have over the next couple of days as well. So there's a double batch in here. So we've got 840 odd grams of all the dry stuff, and all we need to do is add the wet stuff to it. Now I have it written down in my recipe book so that when the kids want to make it, they can just pull it out. So the muffin mix says 420 grams of dry to 250 grams of milk, so we're going to need 500 grams of milk. So I've got a 400 gram tin of coconut cream, and I'm just going to top that up. All right, so we've got 500 grams of that. We're going to put 250 grams of oil. You can use whatever fat you want. We just use oil because it's nice and easy. One day everything will be more accessible in my kitchen. I won't have to walk to other rooms to fetch everything. So we want 250 grams of oil for the double batch. And I just use the Kirkland's olive oil blend. We need 2 eggs. 2 eggs. And then I'm just going to blend that, and then we're just going to add our mix-ins. So we want a cup of mix-ins per batch. So let's just fold this in. We're not going to overwork it too much. We just want to get it folded in. And I will swap to a spatula for the mix-ins. Actually got some apples in the hamper yesterday, which I haven't mentioned yet. It was hamper day yesterday, so I'll show you that soon. But what I might do is do some apple cinnamon, which are, I think I've said it before, not my kids' favorite, but one of my favorite favorite flavors of muffins. So raspberry white chocolate would probably be my next favorite, but I don't have any raspberries at the moment. I am going to try and get some. It is berry season at the fruit and veg, but if I can't, I might buy myself a bag of frozen ones because I love it in lemonade as well over summer. Frozen raspberries with a piece of lime in lemonade over summer is one of my favorite things, with or with alcohol. I'm not a big alcohol drinker, but I do occasionally like to have some. And things like vanilla vodka with the lemonade and fruit in it is really nice. So I'm just going to dice these up fairly small. Remembering too that the protein powders that I use have a sort of a peanut butter flavour to them. They're like a peanut butter protein, so the peanut butter and apple goes well together too. So that's probably enough for one batch. I probably shouldn't do them all apple cinnamon because the children might complain, but in saying that, this is all the chocolate chips they have left for the rest of the month. You go shopping like Wednesday week, so maybe I will do them all apple cinnamon and save the blueberries, save the chocolate chips for their Ninja Creamies and things like that, and they can just deal. So you want a cup of mix-ins per 420 grams. So we've got a double batch here, so I'm not measuring this, but an apple is about a cup. So we've got 2 cups of mix-ins, and I need to grab my cinnamon. And I'm just going to mix it all up, and I'm going to grab the muffin tins and we'll get these cooking. And then I will talk about the hamper and anything else, and I will remember to show you guys the muffins this time, because last time I forgot. I probably overworked this dough a little bit because I couldn't make my mind up, but it'll be fine. All right, so I've got my muffin tins and I'm just going to scoop. So filling them evenly is not my forte, but there we go. We have 24 filled from that batch to go in the oven. Alrighty, so they are in the oven. I'll show you them when they're done. Hamper was hamper day yesterday. So we are very lucky to have access to Aberdeen Pantry services. They work out here where we are, and Peter and Lois run it. They have a once a month hamper. It is normally the second Saturday of the month, I think it is. And you pre-order it. So you order it the week before it's arrived, so they know how many people are going to be collecting hampers. And then they organise it and you go on the Saturday to collect the stuff. Now, the hampers are $50 each. You do not have to have any sort of healthcare card or anything to access it, which I think is wonderful because everyone struggles at times. And it's not necessarily the people who have the piece of paper to say they're struggling. But anyone can purchase one anyway, which is also beneficial because the people who purchase them allow the pantry to provide for people who can't afford to purchase them. So if there was an incident in the community and someone really needed help, the fact that they have that hamper service because we service them allows them to help the other people who need it. So there would be no hamper service if people weren't purchasing the hampers. So everyone is welcome to it, everyone is entitled to it, and whoever wants to get one or two or three is welcome to get one each month. They are $50 and you get whatever you're given. It is a box of mixed items, some fresh veg, some frozen goods, some dry goods, some meats, normally some breads, things like that. It's whatever you get every month. It is always worth well more than $50, but sometimes it's a mixed bag. They have definitely decreased in quantity per hamper over the last few years, but so has everyone. There's a lot of charities seeking donations and things like that of the food, more these days than there was, so it's now being spread a little bit further, but they are still well worth the money. They are aimed a little bit more at a couple or a couple with a kid or two. They're not a great use for us in whole meals, but they are definitely a good supplement before shopping. So we are 5 weeks into our shopping period at the moment. I go Wednesday week, and it's a 7-week shopping period. So this has come at a good time to just add a bit of interest to our monthly shop, a monthly food intake and things like that. So you get whatever it is and you collect it on that second Saturday. They also have the Pantry store, the shop, open, and the shop has all sorts of miscellaneous stuff that you can purchase from them as well. And the off fortnights they try and get some produce and stuff in as well, that you can go and shop the pantry and collect produce and stuff as well. So it just depends on what they're getting in the month as well, and they advertise it on their Facebook page, and it's a wonderful service and we're very grateful for Peter and Lois doing it out here. So this is this month's hamper. I filmed it yesterday before we put it away, so I will show you that. Alrighty, this month's hamper has frozen peas, frozen corn, a bag of rice, a packet of veggie straws, a couple of tins. We've got peas and carrots, green beans and some peri-peri chicken soup, a couple of soft drinks. There is some dim sims, some frozen dim sims, and some Angus beef burgers, beef meat patties, and a diced Mexican style chicken breast. Some of the instant meals, so we got some sauteed chicken and carrots, beef strog, beef sausage casserole. For those ones, a jar of pickles, honey garlic and soy stir-fry sauce, a couple of instant noodles, and a packet of spaghetti, as well as a couple of packets of this interesting shape pasta again, some popcorners, and another burrito bowl flavouring package, also a box of cornflakes and a box of sultana bran. The mixed veggies, we've got some tomatoes and some corn in there, and we've got some zucchini, some apples and some snow peas in this one, and then there's an entire box of chicken. It looks like breasts by the looks of it, I'm not real sure. It's all frozen in one block, which does mean that I'm going to throw it in the freezer for now, and we'll have to sort of process it all at once, but it's an entire box of frozen boneless chicken by the looks of it, which is pretty amazing. And then Sonnet visited the pantry. She went with Angie to collect our hamper this month because Darryl isn't here at the moment, and Sonnet grabbed some stuff at the pantry for her and the kids with some of the money that she earned from her market. She bought some frosted chocolate Pop-Tarts, a couple of packets of the muesli bars they like, some chips and some Pringles versions there. So that was this month's hamper. So it was a fairly compact hamper this month, but that box of chicken is like just makes up for a lot of the lack of anything else. So, you know, the only thing is that I'm going to have to defrost that entire box. It's all frozen solid in one big block. So what I think I will do is I will pull it out and stick it in the fridge to defrost, and I will have to process it all at once. Andrea was sharing with me the recipe out of the 4 ingredients cookbook. I actually own the 4 ingredients cookbook, but I haven't looked at it in a while. Making chicken nuggets and stuff by dipping things in mayo and then breadcrumbs. So maybe we'll make some bulk, like chicken nugget type things, and put them in the freezer. And maybe some schnitzels and things like that. I'm not sure yet, but it looked to be mostly breasts, so we will have to see. I have to defrost it to find out though. So I will get that in the fridge. I actually put it in the freezer yesterday. I probably should have just stuck it straight in the fridge, but I might just move it into the fridge. We've got plenty of room at the moment because it's later in the month. And get the chicken defrosting, and then I can decide what I'm going to do with it. It will defrost in layers, so there is potential to do like chunks of it at a time. But we will see how we go, and depends on what the pieces are like. Some of the pieces look bigger than others, so I'm not real sure whether it's offcuts or what. We will see. Worst comes to worst, I mince it up and I make like chicken Kiev balls or things like that out of it, but we will use it and it will be a great supplement into our rotation of food. So that was this month's hamper. And this is how they look fresh out of the oven. Alrighty, this is what they look like. Lovely and soft and tasty. They're obviously a little bit more dense because of the protein powder. If you don't put the protein powder in them, they tend to puff up a little bit more and be a little bit lighter, but I quite like them like that anyway. And the flavours of the protein powders are nice too, with that we use the peanut butter based ones, but they also have sweetness in them as well. So you reduce the sugar in the muffins, but still get a lot of that sweetness coming through. So that will be snacks for the next couple of days anyway. It is 3:30. Darryl won't be home until like 5:30. I pulled skin on chicken thighs out of the freezer for dinner tonight this morning, so I will just cook them up. Crackling chicken, skin on thighs, and do with mash and veg for dinner, so that's done. Easy. I've had some requests lately for some more of the single subject videos, things like with my brioche rolls recipes and stuff that are up on the website, going through the process of making them, but so that I can link those videos. I do try and link videos that have the stuff in it, but I do tend to do a lot of things at once in all the videos. And part of that is because YouTube and you guys prefer it. So some of my single subject videos get very little throughput, but I do need to get them done so that they can be linked to the website, I think. So maybe I'll try, while I'm only putting 2 videos out a week, getting some of those done as well so that I can get the recipes up on the website and the single subject videos to go along with them, but we'll see. No promises on that because we all know that would be pointless to promise something that I'm not necessarily capable of following through. What else do we have to do? So Sonnet went to the market on yesterday. She did the market in MILLMERRAN. She really enjoyed it, and there's a couple more markets before Christmas in a couple of other places. There's one back there in December, and there's one at one of the local schools in November, which she might want to do, which is fine. It's a lot of work for me as well, but you know, but because she was doing that, I did a bunch of the bits and pieces that I needed to do, printed up and sent with her, and I took photos of a bunch of stuff before I sent it with her as well, so that I could have the photos of it. So the toilet roll holders. I have 5 different designs now, I think. A geometric design, I'll try and put them up on the screen as I'm saying them. A geometric design, a tropical plants design, a love hearts design, which was requested in the comments, some mushrooms, and I feel like there was a 5th, but I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. Not sure, but I'll try and put them up. The gum nuts and gum leaves one, that's right. So they're the 5 that I've finished, but if you've got requests for patterns that I can create to put on them, please put them in the description, because I'm happy to do it, because I need to print one for photos. And then I can, sorry, I thought something was smoking over the stove, but do you know what it is? It's the dogs rolling in the sand just outside the kitchen, and it looks like smoke. So anyway, if you've got some suggestions, then please put them in the description, because sometimes struggle to think of what I want to put on these things. I've got a few different sayings. I'll put some photos in here of sayings. So I'm going to be offering sayings or blank lids. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to print them as they're ordered. So I'm going to make at least singles of all of them and photograph them and have them in and have a few different colors, not of all the same ones necessarily, just sample colors. Most people have wanted pastels, so pastel purple, pastel blue, pastel green, that sort of thing. So that's what I've done predominantly, though I did do the gumnut and eucalyptus one in that sort of a khaki green because I really liked the idea of that color with that pattern. You can always have different colored lids to bases and everything else. I'm going to make it customizable. So the plan is to try and get this up on the website, probably not before this video goes up. I think I'll be pushing to do that, but hopefully in the next few days so that I can then get them there to be ordered. The machines with the balls in it are the same. I took a few photos of a few different things, but basically the ones that I've made, I've got photographs of to show how they are, but people can request color combinations however they want. So mostly we're just going to do customizable requests for colors and stuff like that. Sorry, SD card ran out of space. So because I'm going to print as ordered, I'm not going to hold stock because that is one of the flaws in the tumblers, mugs and stuff that I did last year, is that I still have a whole lot of stock of those that I need to figure out. So I'm not going to, one of the markets that Sonnet's going to do is probably a Christmas market, so I'll send a bunch of stuff with her on the Christmas market. But the plan is with a lot of this 3D printing type stuff is to do it print on demand and just do specialty items. I'm not looking to make, a lot of people, you know, sort of say, why do these sorts of things? It's a bit like the stuff last Christmas with the art and stuff. Let me just move my mic in case my necklace is tapping it again. I enjoy it. It is extra work, but Christmas is always a short time money-wise too, so it's always nice to get a little bit of a boost at Christmas time. But I do enjoy being creative, so that's part of why I do it as well. I'll take a few photos of some of the stuff that we did for key rings and stuff for Sonnet as well, so Sonnet can offer some of her stuff as well. The other thing we did that everyone really liked was the lightsabers, and so I'll put a photo of the bulk of them up here, but I'm not entirely sure how I photograph individual ones of those to offer up for sale if people want to purchase them. But again, it can be pretty customizable. Sonnet and I just picked random colors for the blades and the handles, and like there's glow in the dark red, glow in the dark blue, there's a transparent green, there's a rainbow. Like we just sort of picked and chose what we liked, and that's what we put on there. And then there's all the characters too, the chunks that I make one of for myself for a shelf, but can also then photograph them and offer to make more for people if that's what they want. So there's a variety of different things that can be offered that are strictly made to order rather than holding stock, and I like the idea of that. So, and there's some really nifty stuff out there. There's stuff that other people have designed, of course, like the sabers and the characters. They're other people's designs, but I have really enjoyed designing the toilet roll container from scratch. Like I designed the actual barrel as well as the patterns and the sayings and all the rest of it, and figuring out how to get the settings right on the printer to print it all the way I want it to look and stuff like that. I've enjoyed the process of it. And I'd like to get more in depth with other things as time goes on when I have time. So I'll figure it out and I'll get it up and we'll get pre-orders going, and we will just start churning those out for people who want them. And I'll do a free shipping amount on the site and stuff like that like I normally do. But I will get that sorted. We still haven't got the ute back, and there's a little bit of to and fro going on that at the moment still as well. I'm not sure what exactly is happening there. I'll update you when I know, but we haven't got that back yet. I have 2 shopping trips left before Christmas, week after next, and then like 2 weeks before Christmas or a week and a half before Christmas. And so I've got to figure out exactly what I'm doing there. We're just going to have a quiet Christmas. We always do, but I do enjoy cooking things that we don't normally have. And it's, you know, I also haven't done a lot of Christmas shopping. Normally I would have most of the kids' Christmas presents and everything else already done. But this year has just been wonky. And I really haven't got much done at all. And then with the added cost of the car and everything else, everything's just a little bit odd this year. So we will see how we go. The new schooling too is still, it was first week back last week. I feel like every term we're getting a little bit better at sorting it out, but at the same time it's just, yeah. And Darryl's gone a lot at the moment too, which is making it a little bit more difficult. There is a lot being left for me to handle and organise and work out and manage, and it's a lot at the moment. So I really do enjoy the outlet of things like the 3D printing and stuff like that, and I kind of need it, honestly. Like, if I didn't have that kind of creative outlet and then a reason for that creative outlet, like part of the reason for doing the 3D printing is because I'd like other people to enjoy my items as well and make a bit of money on the side. If I didn't have that purpose to it, then I might not do it as much, and then I would work more on everything else, and my need to, and my creative, like the other aspects of me would fall to the wayside because I'm not very good at prioritizing myself, which I'm aware of. But it's definitely been a challenge this year. The whole year has been a challenge. Has not been a great one, and things just don't feel like they're getting any better. But, you know, anyway. The aviary for the new garden space got delivered on Thursday, before Darryl left. So we've got that here in boxes. So the plan for this week is to try and figure out this roof now that we've got the second ladder, the back patio roof, and lay the aviary mesh for that garden structure as well. So we need to lay aviary mesh on the ground before we construct the aviary. We also need to put a couple of the IBC wicking beds and stuff in the space before we construct the aviary, because it doesn't have much in the way of a door. It's got a very narrow door, this aviary, which I was aware of when I bought it, and it may be something we have to fix up later. But for the moment, it just means that we need to build it around some of the larger stuff rather than try and transport it into it afterwards. So we have to get the aviary mesh laid down on the ground so that nothing can dig up underneath the garden bed, like any of the bush rats or anything like that. And then construct it around a couple of the wicking IBCs and things like that. So that's the plan for the next couple of weeks, and we really need to get moving on it. I mentioned this morning that the chicks, we've got them out in the tractor. I'll go and take some quick footage of them shortly. But it's supposed to rain tonight, so they'll have to come back inside into the brooder for overnight. It's only supposed to rain tonight, and that's it. It won't risk leaving them out there though. And then the other eggs go into lockdown Tuesday morning, or I think it's Tuesday morning. So they will hatch by the end of the week. So then we'll have whatever hatches out of them that will need to be in that brooder. So the chicks will have to be out more, which is fine. That's what the tractor is for. The tractor has dug in metal all the way around it. It has solid wire as well as metal. It's a very sealed structure. We purposely created a box that it sits on that nothing can get into, because we did have a tractor a while back that something dug in and stole some of the chicks out of. So this one it's not movable. It's stationary because everything is dug in so much. So it's safe for them to be in so long as the weather is warm enough, which it well and truly is day and night at the moment. Just won't leave them out in the rain. It has a covered section, but if it gets too much water in there, it's not a good idea, especially when the chicks have only just experienced outside life today. So I will take you out to show you them actually. A little hard to photograph through this this wire, but they're exploring, and they're tiny. Those containers at the back are empty, but their feeder is that feeder. They're actually I 3D printed that chick feeder. So they've got that feeder there, and then their water container and stuff, but they're exploring all the other spaces. Hopefully we can go and get some hay next week when we have the ute back or whatever we're doing, but we've got some very pretty chicks in amongst all of that. So some with some very fluffy feet and some very pretty markings, and
oh, that one's great.
Yeah, the grey one.
Just like that one in Tails' the M pen, Rainbow's pen.
So they are enjoying that new experience of being out there, which is great. So I did show on Facebook too that I potted up the trees into the poly bags, which is where I'm going to leave them probably for this season in the new aviary space to keep them protected until we figure out exactly where we want to plant them. Trying to coddle them a little bit and do a bit better this year than we have in previous years. So they're all doing really well. They're all leafing up. We've got some new branches coming up in a lot of them. They've all got some nice greens. This one's probably the slowest out of all of them. I'm not sure why, but it's got green on it, so that's a good thing. This one is a Pink Lady dwarfing. I actually ended up with 2 Pink Lady trees accidentally. I put 2 in the cart. So this is the other, I know, Sundowner. Robe, Bramleys, this one. So this one's a bit slow too. So maybe it's just the Pink Lady trees that are a little bit slower to get going than the other ones. I'm not sure. Small ones that I was really concerned weren't going to recover. You can see all the damage that was done at the top there by the geese are starting to shoot. So that's really good. So this one's a plum. And then the other one was a quince, I think, which was a random decision to purchase because it was self-fertile and they were on sale on clearance, and I googled quinces and thought, oh, they sound interesting. So it's coming up nicely too. The cherry tree is just doing wonderfully, and the other apple and the other, they're all doing well. The seedlings are all going well. I need to start potting up my tomato seedlings into other pots and stuff. I'd really like to get these strawberries in the ground, but until I've got that irrigation over there, I'm hesitant because I don't want to risk issues with them not getting enough water. So obviously some grass seeds got into the soil, but they are getting a little bit sunburnt out here. We do put them out in the morning. They're in quite a bit of sun. I don't know, we could do with a bit more water by the looks of it. Everything just needs a little bit more love and care, and we just haven't got the garden space set up, and there's a lot of, you know, as I said, the whole year has been a little bit, we shall see, but I'm happy with that we've got progress anyway. And what will be with the garden. What we get will be great, and what we don't won't be, and hopefully I can set it up so that we have good progression of success for next year, and we'll just see. We've had really good hatch rates, so you know, that's the big thing for this year. Anyway, I think I've squirreled and rambled enough. I'm going to leave it there for this week, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you very much for watching.